Hey friends, welcome back to Dolynny TV, and I must say welcome back to some Edmonton Oilers coverage. It's been a hot week since we last had a video up about the Edmonton Oilers. It's Sunday. We last talked, Monday at this point. And obviously the Oilers, what they did this weekend is go out and win a game in Utah, go out and win a convincing game in Colorado. I know Colorado's not quite as good as they were maybe 2 years ago, but just saying, beating Colorado's always a good thing in the Connor McDavid era. So that's where we sit. Things should be fairly pretty happy. You know, everything should be hunky-dory in their organization now that we're back on the winning track. We're back in that playoff picture, and things look really good going into the month of December. It's December 1st, by the way, when I'm recording this video, in case it takes off a few days later, a few weeks later, whatever the case might be. What I need to hammer home right now before we get into the meat and potatoes of tonight's video, simply put, Chris Knoblauch's job is not on the line. I'm not saying Chris Knoblauch's getting fired. If you look at thumbnail text and say clickbait because of that, you gotta actually watch the video before you can make a determination on clickbait. So with that said, friends new and old, if you're new to the channel, I encourage you to hit that subscribe button, friends. We've had a crazy past few weeks here in terms of schedule, in terms of obviously the Pack the Pete Purple event, which you'll get the actual proper version of the broadcast uploaded sometime this week. But for those of you watching back home that joined the channel over the course of this duration, thank you so much for being here, and thanks so much for checking out an Edmonton Oilers edition. I think for some of you, you might see a more regular edition of myself personally that you might see out in public, more so than that guy that dresses up in the snazzy purple shirt, glasses on, the hair done, and the whole 9 yards we had going this week for Pack the Pete Purple. So let's go here to this right now, which is talking about Mr. Colin Chaulk. Now, when I say a coach is about to get fired in the Oilers organization, the fact that Colin Chaulk is here is as mystifying to me as the fact that Dustin Schwartz is still in the organization 10 years later. Just because he's a good guy doesn't mean you can't let him go. The Oilers tend to have some problems with that, not necessarily at the coaching level at the NHL, but here at the AHL level. And Bruce Kurlock here sharing some thoughts, which I've heard echoed multiple times over the past several months in Bakersfield, not just this year, but at the tail end of last year too, about Colin Chaulk, the coaching staff, the development process, the prospects, and everything going on down there. And I say this because we haven't had a chance to talk about Bakersfield very much this year because there hasn't been much going on. They're below 500 officially after last night's loss, and they're staggering teams defensively, but the numbers are also staggering offensively and not in a good way at all. So Bruce talking here about how it's an uncomfortable post for him personally, as here goes. The Condors play 4 games over the next 2 weeks. There needs to be massive coaching improvement in personnel decisions and style of play as it relates to the offense and power play. If that doesn't happen, changes should. And when I say a coach could very well be getting fired in the Oilers organization, now, how important is your AHL coach? I think we actually saw a guy get fired this year, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know what the full details are there, but somewhere out east a guy got turfed. But honestly, it has been, for any of us that sit here and actually follow the Oilers organization top down, up, bottom, I mean, some of you might go into the junior process, that's up to you. But as far as I go, keeping up with the Condors on a weekly basis, it's been ugly. I mean, things have not been great in Bakersfield since Jay Woodcroft became the Oilers head coach and Colin Chaulk assumed head coaching duties down there. But things have not been great in Bakersfield at many levels since Colin Chaulk took over. It's been really, really just one thing after another. Injuries have been a massive, massive part in this. I don't want to understate that. Obviously, health is the biggest contributor to winning at any level of pro sports, but that, again, when you're a development system, is not the end-all, be-all. Winning is not what the Oilers are trying to achieve in Bakersfield. We've been told all about that research and development we're investing in here at the Oilers development stages, and it just looks like an absolute disaster class in Bakersfield right now. I mean, what have you heard of Noah Phillips since he went down after being recalled there a few weeks ago? Anything? Nothing? As a casual Oilers fan, do you even know that Noah Phillips is still in the organization? Probably not, because things have just dried up for him down there, and kind of a touch of loss of confidence because of the style of play in which the Condors are playing under Colin Chaulk and the coaching staff has just absolutely disabled any offensive tools that Noah Philp has. So that's very, very tough. And then as well, you're looking at Matt Savoy. We should be hearing about him lighting up the AHL, right? Like maybe not to the degree that he's the leading scorer across the AHL, but you know what I mean? This is a guy that comes in here highly touted in the Ryan McLeod trade, and this is not a Matt Savoy sucking thing. This is an organizational development path plan that just ain't getting the job done because the coaching staff in Bakersfield is inhibiting any growth that could possibly happen here. So, right, that's absolutely tough to look at from that perspective. And I think, again, to echo what Bruce was saying there, it's just if nothing improves in the next 2 weeks, I mean, you got to make a decision here. And, you know, the results have been short of stellar the entire time that Colin Chaulk's been in Bakersfield coaching that bench. So what do you really have to say? And like I said, this comes down to the same thing I say with Dustin Schwartz. I'm not saying this guy should lose his job because he's a bad guy. No. Again, at the end of the day, people lose their job every day because they're bad at their job. And this is one of those situations where the results aren't there. It's only getting worse, it seems, or it's staying the same, which wasn't good. And at some point, you got to make a change. The Oilers have no misgivings doing that at the head coaching duties at the NHL level. But when it comes to Bakersfield, and I mean, yeah, okay, the cupboards are pretty bare, but that doesn't mean you don't have a Noah Philp. That doesn't mean you don't have a Matt Savoy. That doesn't mean you have a Seth Griffith, who over the past 5 years has been one of the most productive wingers in the AHL. That doesn't mean that you don't have some talent on the back end. Cam Dineen came to the Bakersfield Condors as a defenseman that looked promising to at least fill a sixth role on the Oilers defense if they moved on the left side from Brett Kulak, which never happened. But Cam Dineen's just up and disappeared, it feels like, at least. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and check the stats and make every argument for you, but there's a lot of guys on this team that should be overachieving at this point of their tenure in the Oilers organization at the AHL level. And due to the head coaching staff, they are just kind of toiling. And when you've got a development path for multiple players that is just toiling, when you've talked all summer about research and development under Jeff Jackson, it is not a comfortable place to be looking at yourself in the mirror right now. And obviously that's where I think Bruce is getting with it and saying, hey, look, we got to make some changes here if things don't keep improving day by day, because things are not getting better. And if things don't get better, ultimately any other position in the organization, general manager's chair, head coaching, assistant coaches, everything except for the goaltender coach at the NHL level over the past 10 years has been turned over when the results are poor to not so great. So we'll see what ultimately happens here, friends, but I thought I'd take a day to talk about Bakersfield and kind of how things really aren't that great down there, and hopefully things do improve under Colin Chaulk, because like I said, he's a good guy. Everything I've seen about Colin Chaulk is, you know what, he's a guy that you can get behind, but obviously to get behind a head coach, you have to have some results as well, and those just aren't there right now. Friends, thanks for being aboard. I am up on out of here. Make sure, again, leave a like on the video. Let me know your thoughts on kind of maybe what you'd like to see the Condors do, or what the Oilers might do at the professional NHL level to get the AHL level going. For right now, though, I am up on out of here.